What's your current title in the SCA?
My current title is that of Lord.
Okay.
And that means I've received my award of arms.
Alright. How long have you had your AOA?
Had my AOA for, yes, about a year.
Okay. What do you prefer to go by at events?
Just Roland.
Just Roland?
Just Roland.
Okay.
I tend to introduce myself as Roland Blackthorne, but people end up either calling me Roland or my real name.
How long have you been in the SCA?
For about a year and 7 months.
All right. Do you consider yourself a new player, intermediate?
Intermediate.
Intermediate?
I know enough to explain the SCA to people who are completely new.
How did you come into the SCA?
Through my now wife, who at the time was just a girl that I worked with at the Science Museum.
Okay.
I got into it to hang out with her some more, and one thing led to another, and now she's my wife.
It's worth observing that a girl I was interested in, several historical fantasies start with that chapter. What's your persona?
My persona is 13th century Welsh Crusader.
Why did you pick a crusading character?
For the fighting kits of the time period, being a Crusader gives me a reasonable excuse for my persona to have the type of armor I do.
Are you an officer, deputy, any sort of leadership position within society? Not now?
Not now.
Okay. Do you have anything you're leaning towards? Anything you're...
In the future, I'd like to be Knights Marshal, but that won't happen for a little while because I have a child on the way soon, so I'll need to take a break on that.
I can understand that, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your skill sets and what you do in the society. What activities do you most often participate in?
Generally the heavy fighting. That's my favorite thing to do. Mm-hmm. I also do the combat archery, which is a lot of fun.
Okay. Do you have any awards that are of a particular emotional significance to you?
My Sable Falcon. It was my first award that I ever received at Gulf Wars in 2016.
It sounds about right. I remember being in court for that one.
Yeah. It was either 2016 or 2017. In fact, it was 2017.
2017?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That sounds about right. They do all kind of blend together.
Yeah. It was my first award. I wasn't expecting to get it. I was going for my award of arms, which is kind of the award that most people get first. Mm-hmm. Which I do have now. But I got it for combat archery at Gulf Wars, which is a massive event in Mississippi with thousands of Scadians there, all doing arts and sciences fighting for a full week, and it's just an amazing event.
It sounds like the type of thing where you could kind of lose yourself very
Absolutely. Easily. And I did multiple times.
Now, full disclosure for our viewers, I'm a longtime attendee at Gulf Wars, so I say that somewhat rhetorically, but Roland's experience at Gulf Wars and mine are very different because we have, of course, very different skill sets and reasons we go. If someone were to see you at an event in the evening, what would you be doing?
Probably reveling, eating a feast, talking with friends, trying to be of service. Generally, I try to help in the evenings with things like feasts and such.
What's something you want people to know about you?
That I have been in the SCA for a little while, but I'm still learning. I still have questions, and I'm always looking to learn something new about the SCA.
Okay. What's something in the SCA you love talking about?
Honestly, the SCA itself, I love talking to new people about what we do in the SCA, about the heavy fighting, about the pomp and circumstance of court, about the personas, and I love telling people that don't know about the SCA about it.
What do you feel is your strongest, what's your strongest skill set within the society right now?
Within the society is probably my fighting skill. I'm not the best, but I'm certainly getting better. I also do service. I try my best to help out where I can.
Now, if someone wanted to talk to you at an event or meeting, but they didn't know you, how would you like them to approach you?
Just come up and talk to me. I'm not that threatening a figure.
So you consider yourself approachable?
Yeah, I like to think I'm very approachable.
Okay.
Ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer. And if I don't know the answer, I can absolutely send you to a person who will know the answer.
Could you talk about some of your SCA relationship or friendships? And full disclosure, before we dive into this question, Roland and I have known each other pretty much since you started.
Yeah, since I started.
I seem to remember telling you how much in the doghouse you were during one argument with your then girlfriend. So I asked this question knowing whether he says it or not. This is a friend of mine. This is someone who I have helped mentor. So I would rather just say that up front so there's no assumption of subterfuge by a third party. But nonetheless,
the relationships I've made, probably the most important one is that of my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the SCA for her, and it's become something that we do together, and I love her very much. The friends I've made, knights, squires, mentors, the SCA has been a great help to me, not only in the SCA life, but in my personal life. Having people there that I can talk to about anything, and then generally give me a reply. That is helping me move forward with my life.
Both in and out of the society?
Both in and out of the society. A specific instance, when I was still relatively new to the SCA, my car broke down and my alternator had gone out. And the Knights Marshal at the time for their name, Wiesenfeuer, came out and helped me replace it and helped me get what I needed to do that. And that was completely outside of the SCA. I didn't have anybody I could help, and he was there. He barely knew me. I was in the SCA for like a couple months at that time. And that's the kind of people that are in the SCA.
Outstanding. Let's talk about some of the big issues. And I ask this knowing full well I'm speaking to someone who's relatively new in the grand scheme of things. But
I do have a lot of friends that are part of the big issues.
What is something about the current SCA that you would like or maybe would like to see change?
Burnout is a really big problem we have in the SCA as a whole right now. People get into it going after an award or a rank, and they go at it hard, and sometimes they go at it too hard for too long, and they don't get what they want, and they burn themselves out and end up leaving the SCA before they can either get that award or they're just done with the SCA forever. And that's probably the biggest issue that I've seen. I've had some burnout. Up getting to my AOA, I played very hard for about 8 months to get that, and once I did, I had to take a break and deal with some stuff in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, Kingdom level is getting to all the events, because there are events in our Kingdom, which is Ansteorra. We consist of Oklahoma and Texas. I've never made it to an event that is down on the coast. It's too far, and I don't have the monetary means to get down there, and that's a problem.
Well, and the joke is Texas, of course, is the only state that was once its own country,
Yes.
and it's got the geography to back
does.
that up.
I believe it encompasses the United Kingdom, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
But
England. Oh yeah, all of continental Europe, like most of continental Europe, would fit inside the footprint of Texas.
Yeah.
It's you could fit. I know you could fit all of the major combat of the European front of World War One inside the footprint of Texas.
Yeah, and that's crazy, and I know that's a big obstacle for a lot of people, is the distance. Local events that we have that are within a 2-hour drive of me, I generally make it to all those events, but anything past that, it takes a lot of preparation.
Okay.
But on that real quick, there are always people there who are willing to help and help get you to those events and carpool and stuff, so it's a problem until you find a solution to it.
What do you feel is your biggest contribution to the society right now?
My biggest contribution, I'm currently working with new fighters, so completely newcomers, and helping them learn the basics. I've kind of got a good grasp on the basics, and I can teach that. And I help with the new fighters, and I also help with the youth fighting. which is a lot of fun.
Okay. What's something new that you would like to learn more about? Maybe not necessarily immediately, but what is there anything that you don't do right now that you'd like to try your hand at?
I'd like to learn how to be better at leatherworking. I've done it just a little bits in the past, and I'd like to have enough skill to fashion my own armor.
Okay. Now, is there anyone, and it does not have to be a most or a best, but is there anyone you know in the SCA that you would like to see sit down for an interview like this?
His Grace Jason Drysdale. He has a lot to say about the SCA. My experiences with him have been always good, and he's always very good to newcomers, and he can answer a lot of questions. And he is someone I would like to see sit down for an interview.
Okay. Last question, and this isn't one that was written down specifically. You know about the Ansteorran Sword of State, and you've heard of Sir Riccardo Di Pissa at least, correct?
I'm not off the top of my head.
Very long story, very short. He was one of the first great Ansteorrans, to be very broad about it. He passed away due to complications from surgery in like a week before Gulf in 1999. I never met him, but I know that during Gulf Wars, a lot of people who hadn't met him were asking about him. And one of the great lines, in my opinion, that was said about him was, he was a hero from a kingdom of heroes. And we had lived up to that. Anstorra was just going, red cape and blue jumpsuit attitude on the field every day. Who do you feel are...
Please consult your local herald. If he doesn't know and I don't know or nobody knows, then nothing's happening. Thank you and have a great day.
I trained him. Who do you feel are some of your heroes in the society?
Some of the ones I hear about, the ones that have stories, that are like legends. People like Jarl Owen is what I would say would be an almost legendary figure within at least the north of Ansteorra, if not the entirety of Ansteorra, and into many other kingdoms. He's the biggest one. I know there's stories of Sir Cassius.
There are a lot of
there
stories.
are a lot of
about
stories
Sir
of Cassius. JP, Duke JP, and his wife Gilyan.
Jean-Paul de Sens, for those who don't know the local parlance, that is His Grace Jean-Paul de Sens.
Yes. All these guys have legends and stories. I've been looking at the Ansteorra History wiki page, where we have actually transcribed the stories of them. And it is just amazing to look at this, and it kind of gives you something to strive for.
Now you mentioned a lot of very powerful names in that short list.
Yes.
I know you've met Owen.
Yes.
Have you met any of the other names?
I've met Jean-Paul. My wife does the equestrian activities, and she is good friends with Jean-Paul and Gilyan.
Okay. And have you met Cassius?
I have, only in passing a few times, but from what I've met of him, he seems like a very funny guy who lives up to the stories.
So even though you yourself haven't met a good number of these people, you still are comfortable calling them heroes in their legacy.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I can see the people rising to become the future legends of Ansteorra.
Okay.